class. Today we're reviewing multiplying fractions. So this little video is multiplying fractions. A couple things that we have to remember, and I'm going to write them on the board. So if you see it and you hear it, it will help you remember better. So here we go. Okay, we're talking about multiplying fractions. Okay, there we go. We got a glare. Let's change this a little bit. Okay, so we got multiply fractions. The first step that we need to remember is we are going to multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So I'm going to write straight across. Right? If I have, oh, here, I'll just make that look a little different. So when we are multiplying fractions, I could have used numbers, but I use shapes today to show. When we multiply, we go straight across. So it's the numerator times the numerator gives me my answer as a numerator. And then my denominator times denominator gives me my answer as a denominator. Okay? Now I'm going to fill these in. So I've got 1/2 times 3/5. 1/2 times 3/5. Let's try it out. I'm going to do straight across. Numerator times numerator, and then denominator times denominator. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 5 is 10. I know that's smaller. So 3/10 is my answer. The other thing that we want to make sure that we do once we get our answer is see if we can reduce it. We want the lowest possible terms for our answer. But 3/10 is actually the lowest that we can go. And so we're going to leave it like that, 3/10. Okay, that was our first example. Pretty easy, right? Multiplying fractions is the easiest thing to do with fractions because we just go straight across. No common denominator, no keep, change, flip, multiply straight across. Okay, so this is the easiest one. One thing that you might run into though when you are multiplying is you might have a whole number times a fraction, like this. What if we had 5 times 10/3? Okay, so here's a new problem for us. I see a fraction, and I know I'm multiplying by fractions, but this guy, he's not a fraction. Actually, he is, right? Any whole number really can be shown as a fraction. It's just invisible. It's one of those invisible ones that you will talk a lot about in math. But this has an invisible one right underneath it. I'm writing with my left hand, which is not smart. There we go. Right? We're going to just change any whole number to a fraction by adding a 1 underneath. It works. We also say that this fraction bar could be a division bar, right? 5 divided by 1 is still 5. 5 over 1 is 5 wholes. It works, okay? Then we multiply straight across. So 5, numerators times numerators, denominator times denominator. So 5 times 10 is 50. 1 times 3 is 3. Ooh, now we've run into another thing that we've got to deal with before we can come up with our exact last answer, right? 50 over 3 is an improper fraction, which means that the numerator is larger than the denominator. We don't want to leave it like that. Nope. So what we do is we say, okay, how many times can 3 go into 50? How many times can 3 go into 50? I'm actually going to do this one in my head. I could work it out. Just because I can do it in my head doesn't mean that you can. Let's try it like this. Let's do this. So I'm going to do 50 divided by 3. I'm going to do it like that. Okay, so 3 goes into 5 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract, and bring down. 5 minus 3 is 2. Then I bring down my 0. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 3 times 6 is 18. I subtract 20 minus 18 is 2. Okay, that's okay. I'm gonna take that 2 in just a second. So I know that 3 goes into 50 16 times. So my answer is going to be 16. How many's left over? 2. Oh, you can't see that. 2. Aha. And I keep the same denominator. So my final answer, 16 and 2/3. Okay. Let's look at one last part of multiplying fractions. That's going to make it easy for us. It's called cross-reducing. Cross-reducing. So let me do another problem. Let's do 4 ninths times 6 halves. 4 ninths times 6 halves. Before I even multiply, I can reduce these numbers so that it'll make it easier when I get my answer at the end. I won't have to reduce. Either way will work. I like to reduce first because I'm dealing with smaller numbers. If I reduce after, it takes a little bit more thinking. So I'm going to reduce now. And cross-reducing means that we're taking our diagonal numbers. We're making an X, right? Right through here. So I'm going to compare this numerator with this denominator and this denominator with this numerator. So I've got to make an X, and that's how I'm going to reduce. Okay. So right now I'm comparing this 4 and this 2. I can reduce these because I know that 2 actually goes into 4. 2 goes into 4, right? I could divide both of these numbers by 2, which is what I'm actually going to do. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay, now let's take a look at these two. What do these have in common? Could I divide both of them by 6? No, that's not going to work like we did last time. But there is a number that goes into both of those that I could divide them both by. Yeah, it's 3. I was trying to make a 3 with my hand, and I'm holding a marker. That didn't work so good. But you're right, I could divide by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I've already reduced my numbers, and now I'm going to multiply straight across. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. Oh, I've got an improper fraction, so I'm not quite done. 3 goes into 4 one whole time. With 1 left over, keep my same denominator. Okay, that is just a quick review on multiplying fractions. I also want you to watch the video on dividing fractions, but this is a good one of multiplying. Straight across, whole number we put a 1 underneath, and we cross-reduce before. Let me show you just one other thing. I could have done this without cross-reducing, so if that really is giving you a headache, then do it without. So let me try it again. It was 4 ninths times 6 halves. So let's just do it like normal. 4 times 6 is 24. 9 times 2 is 18. Okay, so I can do it without cross-reducing, but now I've just got to do a little more work at the end. I can divide, or let's see, I can reduce this. Is there a number that goes into both of these? Ooh, 6. 6 would go into both of them. So if I divide by 6, I get 4 over 3, which is what I got last time without this step. And then we have to do the same thing. So 3 goes into 4 one whole time with 1 left over. Keep the same denominator. So it works either way. If cross reducing is giving you a headache, then just multiply straight across and reduce at the end. Okay? Good luck. You got this.